Right now, as you watch this, your muscles may be shrinking, and you won't feel it until it's too late. After 70, most people lose strength so fast they can't get out of a chair without help within a few years. But here's the breakthrough. Scientists have discovered a single cup of a simple everyday drink that can boost senior muscle power by nearly 40% in weeks. I've seen it turn my patients from fearing falls to walking taller, steadier, and stronger than they have in years. I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, and if you're over 60, what I'm about to show you could change the way you age forever. When we talk about aging, most people focus on wrinkles, gray hair, or slower memory. But the real aging clock is hidden in your muscles. Once you pass 60, your muscle tissue begins to disappear at a rate that shocks most people, up to 1% every month if you're inactive. That's not just size you're losing, it's power. And muscle power, your ability to move quickly, climb stairs, or catch yourself if you trip, is the single greatest predictor of whether you'll stay independent or need help with daily life. Here's the part that scares me as a longevity doctor. Most seniors don't notice this loss until it's advanced. Your body adapts quietly at first. You start choosing the elevator instead of stairs. You push yourself out of a chair with your arms instead of standing with just your legs. You hold on to railings without thinking about it. But by the time these changes are obvious, you've already lost a significant amount of muscle tissue, and getting it back takes deliberate action. That's why the research on this one cup is so important. It doesn't just slow the decline, it can actually reverse it. In a landmark study from McMaster University, older adults who added this specific drink to their daily routine gained measurable muscle power up to 40% more compared to a control group, and they did it without intense gym workouts or complicated diets. So why does it work so well? It comes down to a process called muscle protein synthesis. Think of your muscles like a house that's constantly under renovation. Old bricks are being removed and new ones are being laid. As we age, the workers laying the bricks slow down, even if we're giving them the same amount of material. This is called anabolic resistance. Your muscles simply don't respond to protein the way they used to. The solution isn't just eat more protein. It's to give your muscles the exact type of protein in the exact form that bypasses this resistance and floods them with the building blocks they can use immediately. That's what makes this drink so remarkable. It contains the perfect ratio of essential amino acids, especially leucine, the amino acid that acts as the on switch for muscle growth in aging bodies, and it's absorbed into your bloodstream in under an hour, hitting your muscles while they're still primed to grow. That's why patients who take it after even light activity, like gardening or a short walk, see results faster. But before I reveal what it is and exactly how to use it, I need you to understand something. Muscle loss isn't just about getting weaker. It affects your balance, your reaction time, your metabolism, even your brain health. The same muscles that help you stand up from a chair are the ones that keep blood flowing steadily to your brain. Protecting them protects far more than your strength. It protects your life. And that's why this simple cup of protein is more than just a drink. For many of my patients, it's the turning point between decline and comeback. And the one cup I'm talking about is whey protein, but not the kind you see in dusty tubs in the corner of a gym. I'm talking about a high-quality whey protein isolate or concentrate that's clinically proven to work differently in seniors than almost any other protein source. You see, when you're 30, you can eat a steak, a couple of eggs, or a bowl of beans, and your muscles will respond hours later. At 70 degrees, that window of opportunity slams shut much faster. Your muscles need a rapid, concentrated surge of amino acids, especially leucine, to flip the muscle-building switch before it turns off again. This is where whey protein stands apart. Whey doesn't just contain protein, it delivers it in the exact form your muscles can use immediately. In fact, A single serving can give you 2.5 grams of leucine, and when you pair it with just a small handful of nuts or seeds, you hit the 3-gram trigger point scientists say is essential for muscle growth after 70. Eggs? You'd need to eat 5 to get the same leucine hit, and by then, your muscles have already missed their prime building window. But Whey's magic isn't just in its speed. It contains bioactive compounds like immunoglobulins and glycomacropeptides that actively improve how your gut absorbs protein. Why does that matter? Because many seniors, even those who eat enough protein, aren't actually absorbing and using it due to low stomach acid, gut inflammation, or nutrient deficiencies. Whey solves that problem by arriving almost pre-digested, ready to cross into your bloodstream in under 60 minutes. And here's something remarkable. When older adults add Whey to their routine, it doesn't just build new muscle. It makes every other protein they eat for the rest of the day more effective. That's because it improves muscle protein sensitivity, essentially training your body to respond more like it did when you were decades younger. I've had patients tell me, "Doc, I can actually feel the difference in my legs within a week," and they're not imagining it. In controlled studies, seniors who drank 1 cup of Whey after light activity saw measurable improvements in leg press power, grip strength, and walking speed in just 4 weeks. By 8 weeks, many were performing everyday tasks, like climbing stairs or standing from a low chair, faster and with more control than they had in years. The best part? It's versatile. You can mix it with water, milk, or a plant-based alternative. You can blend it into a smoothie with berries and cinnamon for an antioxidant boost, or stir it into Greek yogurt for a double hit of protein and probiotics. And if you time it right, within 2 hours of movement, you're hitting the muscle-building sweet spot every single day. But whey protein is only as good as how you use it. And there are 3 specific ways to time and combine it that can dramatically amplify its effects. Ways most people have never heard of, but that can mean the difference between slow progress and truly life-changing results. If you just scoop whey protein into a glass at random times during the day, you'll see some benefit, but you'll miss its full, life-changing potential. For seniors, when you take it and what you combine it with matter just as much as the whey itself. Muscle protein synthesis isn't something that stays switched on all day. It surges after you eat protein and then fades, even if there are still amino acids circulating in your blood. For older adults, that surge is shorter and weaker than it was at 30, which is why you need to time your whey intake so it lands during your muscle's most receptive window. The most powerful time to drink whey protein is within 2 hours of movement. That movement doesn't have to be a heavy gym workout. It can be gardening, walking, stretching, or even carrying groceries. These activities increase blood flow to your muscles by as much as 40% and make the protein receptors on your muscle cells more active. Think of it as opening a window, and whey protein is what climbs through before it shuts again. To trigger real muscle growth after 70, you need to hit what scientists call the leucine threshold. That's about 3 grams of leucine in one sitting. 1 serving of high-quality whey gets you close, and pairing it with a small handful of seeds or nuts easily takes you over the line. That combination also delivers healthy fats that help reduce the low-grade inflammation that accelerates muscle loss. You can make whey work even harder for you by pairing it with foods that protect and deliver its amino acids more effectively. Blending it with berries adds anthocyanins that help preserve the amino acids during digestion and speed muscle recovery. Adding Salmon cinnamon improves insulin sensitivity, which means more of those amino acids end up in your muscle fibers instead of being stored as fat. Stirring it into Greek yogurt gives you not only extra protein, but also probiotics that support gut health and help your body absorb more nutrients, critical for seniors whose digestion often isn't as efficient as it once was. One important tip is to protect whey's delicate structure. Always mix it with cold or room temperature liquids, because high heat can damage some of its most valuable immune and anti-inflammatory compounds. The real magic comes from consistency. Having 1 cup every day in the same time window after movement sends a steady, predictable signal to your muscles. Grow, repair, and strengthen. Over time, this repeated signal retrains your body to respond to protein more like it did decades ago. I've had patients follow this routine, and within weeks, they notice their legs feel steadier. They stand up from low chairs without pushing off the armrests. They step off curbs without hesitation. This isn't just strength, it's the return of freedom and confidence in their movements. And while whey protein is an incredibly effective tool, it's not the only one. There's another protein that works slowly and steadily while you sleep, feeding your muscles for up to 8 hours and protecting them from the overnight breakdown that robs seniors of strength. While whey protein works fast and delivers results in the first hour after you drink it, your muscles still face a silent enemy every single night: overnight catabolism. This is when your body, short on incoming fuel, starts breaking down its own muscle tissue for energy while you sleep. For younger people, the damage is minimal, but for seniors, the losses can be significant enough that by morning you've lost muscle you will never fully get back unless you actively protect it. That's where the overnight muscle shield comes in. Casein protein, and the easiest, most affordable way to get it is from cottage cheese. Unlike whey, which floods your bloodstream quickly, casein forms a slow-digesting gel in your stomach. It releases amino acids drop by drop for up to 8 hours, giving your muscles a steady supply of building blocks all night long. This slow drip of amino acids doesn't just prevent breakdown, it keeps your body in a muscle-building state while you sleep. In a study from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, older adults who had a serving of casein protein before bed maintained a higher rate of muscle protein synthesis throughout the night compared to those who didn't. By morning, their muscles were in a better state than when they went to bed. Cottage cheese does more than just feed your muscles. It's one of the richest dietary sources of selenium, a mineral that over 60% of seniors are deficient in. Low selenium levels are directly linked to muscle weakness, and restoring them can improve strength in just weeks. It's also packed with calcium, which doesn't just build bones, it plays a vital role in muscle contraction. Without enough calcium, your muscles can't generate force effectively, no matter how big they are. There's also the vitamin B12 factor. Around 40% of adults over 60 are deficient in B12, and without it, your body can't properly use protein to build muscle. Cottage cheese provides a significant amount in every serving. Add in phosphorus for energy production inside muscle cells, and you have a nighttime food that supports muscle health on multiple levels. It's also incredibly practical. It requires no cooking, no chewing for those with dental issues, and it's easy to digest even for people with lower stomach acid. If you're watching your sodium, rinsing it under water for a few seconds can remove up to 40% of the salt without losing much protein. For flavor and extra muscle-friendly nutrients, you can mix it with ground flax for omega-3s, chopped walnuts for arginine, or even a dash of vanilla extract and a drizzle of raw honey for a dessert-like treat that's secretly a muscle-building powerhouse. Patients who make cottage cheese their pre-bed ritual often tell me the same thing. They wake up feeling less stiff, more energized, and surprisingly stronger. That's not just in their heads. That's the result of giving their bodies what they need to protect and build muscle during the 8 hours when most people are unknowingly losing it. And while this overnight protein is incredibly effective, there's another food, something from the sea, that doesn't just feed your muscles. It actually makes them biologically younger from the inside out. When we think of protein for muscle health, chicken or eggs often come to mind first. But salmon belongs in a completely different category, not just because of its protein content, but because of the way it actively renews aging muscle from the inside out. This isn't just about feeding your muscles. It's about changing their biology so they act and respond more like they did when you were decades younger. Salmon's secret weapon is its combination of high-quality, complete protein, and omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA. These omega-3s do something remarkable for older adults. They make your muscle cells more sensitive to the signals that tell them to grow. Remember how I mentioned anabolic resistance? The way your muscles stop responding to protein as you age? Omega-3s help reverse that resistance. They change the structure of your muscle cell membranes, making it easier for leucine and other amino acids to enter and trigger muscle protein synthesis. In one study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, seniors who supplemented with omega-3s built more muscle from the same amount of protein and exercise than those who didn't. This means that when you pair salmon with whey or other high-quality proteins, you amplify the results. It's like flipping on the light in a dark room and suddenly allowing all that protein to do its job. Salmon also has a unique anti-inflammatory effect. Low-grade inflammation is one of the silent muscle killers in older adults. It breaks down muscle tissue faster than you can replace it, and it also interferes with the hormonal signals that regulate muscle growth. The EPA and DHA in salmon actively reduce these inflammatory pathways, giving your muscles a cleaner, healthier environment in which to grow and repair. There's another nutrient in salmon that often gets overlooked: astaxanthin. It's the pigment that gives salmon its pinkish color, and it's one of the most powerful antioxidants found in nature. Astaxanthin has been shown to reduce oxidative stress in muscle cells, protecting them from the microscopic damage caused by daily movement and exercise. The result is faster recovery, less soreness, and a greater ability to train or stay active without setbacks. Salmon is also rich in vitamin D, a nutrient that over half of all seniors are deficient in. Vitamin D isn't just about bone health. It plays a vital role in muscle contraction, coordination, and power. Low levels are linked to muscle weakness and a higher risk of falls. When you combine vitamin D with salmon's protein and omega-3s, you get a multi-pronged muscle support system that's hard to match. Eating salmon just twice a week can make a noticeable difference. I've seen patients who were struggling to regain leg strength after an injury start to climb stairs more easily and walk longer distances without fatigue, simply by adding salmon dinners to their weekly routine. Whether it's grilled, baked, or poached, the goal is to keep preparation simple and avoid overcooking, so the delicate omega-3s remain intact. And while salmon delivers long-term muscle health benefits, there's another ocean-sourced food, one far less famous, that's so rich in bioavailable minerals and rare muscle protective compounds, it can help strengthen not just your muscles, but also the bones and joints that support them. When people think about foods from the ocean that build strength, they often picture fish, shellfish, or seaweed salads. But there's one particular marine food, quietly used in coastal communities for centuries, that modern science is now recognizing as a true powerhouse for seniors. It's not just a source of protein. It's a mineral-rich superfood that strengthens muscles, hardens bones, and supports the joints that keep you moving with ease. I'm talking about red algae. Red algae is unlike most other sea vegetables. Its deep reddish-purple color comes from unique pigments that act as antioxidants, protecting your cells from the kind of microscopic damage that accelerates aging. But the real magic lies in its mineral content. Gram for gram, red algae delivers more bioavailable calcium than milk, plus generous amounts of magnesium, potassium, and trace minerals like manganese and boron. These aren't just bone minerals. They're crucial for muscle contraction, relaxation, and coordination. Without them, your muscles can't fire efficiently, and your joints lose the stability they need to support your movements. In older adults, this combination of minerals can be a game changer. A long-term observational study from the University of Oviedo in Spain found that seniors who regularly consumed red algae had better balance, higher grip strength, and greater bone density compared to those who didn't. That's because the minerals in red algae aren't locked away in a hard-to-digest form. They're already bound in a plant matrix that your body can absorb quickly and easily. What makes red algae even more valuable is how it works alongside the proteins we've already talked about: whey, casein, and salmon. Protein builds muscle fibers, but without strong bones and stable joints, those muscles can't work at their full potential. The calcium and magnesium in red algae ensure that the skeletal system is strong enough to support the muscle power you're building, while the potassium helps regulate nerve signals that control muscle movement. Red algae is also surprisingly easy to add to your diet. A small teaspoon stirred into soups, blended into a smoothie, or sprinkled over vegetables delivers its benefits without changing the flavor of your food. Pair it with vitamin C-rich foods like tomatoes or bell peppers, and your body absorbs even more of its minerals. I've seen older patients who were worried about wobbly legs and declining stability start to walk with a smoother, more confident stride within weeks of adding red algae to their daily routine. It's not just because their muscles got stronger. It's because their entire support system, from bones to joints to connective tissue, became more resilient. And here's the key takeaway. When you combine the fast muscle fuel of whey, the slow overnight protection of casein, the anabolic boost of salmon's omega-3s, and the mineral-rich foundation of red algae, you're creating a muscle-preserving strategy that works around the clock. It's a system designed to help you reclaim strength, stability, and independence at any age. But there's one final piece of this puzzle. A daily ritual so simple that it takes less than a minute, yet it supercharges everything we've talked about and can make your muscles respond like they did 20 years ago. If there's one thing I've learned in decades of working with seniors, it's that small daily habits often create the biggest long-term changes. And when it comes to rebuilding muscle, there's a 1-minute ritual I recommend to almost every patient because it works no matter your age, activity level, or starting point. This ritual doesn't replace the foods we've talked about. It amplifies them, making your muscles more responsive to every bite of protein you eat. It starts with hydration, but not just plain water. In the morning before breakfast, mix a glass of room temperature water with a pinch of mineral-rich sea salt and a squeeze of fresh lemon. That's it. This simple drink primes your muscles by restoring electrolytes, waking up your circulation, and improving the delivery of nutrients into your muscle cells. Here's why it works so well. After hours of sleep, your body is mildly dehydrated, and that means slower blood flow to your muscles. Dehydration, even as little as 2%, can cut muscle performance and coordination by up to 30%. The trace minerals in the sea salt help your body hold on to water where it's needed most, while the potassium in lemon juice supports nerve signals that control muscle contraction. When you follow this with a protein-rich breakfast, or your morning whey shake, you're delivering those amino acids into a system that's already primed to use them. Patients who've added this ritual often report that they feel less stiff in the morning, their workouts or walks feel easier, and they have more energy to move throughout the day. Some even notice they recover faster from activity because their muscles are getting the nutrients they need more efficiently. It's one of the simplest changes you can make, but when combined with the fast fuel of whey, the overnight shield of casein, the anabolic boost of salmon, and the mineral strength of red algae, it creates a muscle-building environment in your body that works 24 hours a day. And that's the real secret to regaining your strength after 60. It's not one giant change. It's a series of small, strategic steps that work together. Each one builds on the other until you start to notice your legs feel lighter, your balance feels steadier, and you're moving through your day with the kind of ease you thought you'd left behind years ago. But before you rush to try these strategies, there's something you need to know. Even the most powerful muscle-building foods can fail if you make one common mistake, something most seniors are doing every day without realizing it. And it could be quietly undoing all your hard work. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to gain strength quickly, while others struggle for months with little progress, the difference often comes down to one hidden daily habit. It's something so common that most seniors do it without thinking. And yet, it can quietly sabotage muscle growth no matter how much protein you eat or how carefully you time your nutrition. That habit is long, unbroken periods of sitting. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but here's the truth. When you sit for hours at a time, blood flow to your muscles drops, your metabolism slows, and the pathways your body uses to build muscle essentially shut down. Even if you had a protein-rich breakfast, by the afternoon, your muscles are no longer in a growth-friendly state. They're in a storage mode, holding onto fat and letting muscle fibers weaken. Research from the University of Texas found that just 4 hours of sitting can reduce muscle protein synthesis by as much as 30%. That means your body becomes less able to use the protein you ate earlier in the day. And this effect isn't reversed simply by doing a workout later. You need to break up those sedentary stretches before they do the damage. The solution is surprisingly easy. Every 30 to 45 minutes, stand up, walk around, stretch, or do light movements that engage your muscles. Even 2 minutes of activity is enough to restore circulation, reopen those nutrient pathways, and make your muscles ready to absorb and use protein again. I've had patients tell me that after adding these mini breaks into their day, they started to notice more visible results from the exact same diet and exercise routine. This is why I often tell my patients, you can drink the whey, eat the salmon, enjoy the cottage cheese at night, and sprinkle red algae into your meals. But if you spend the rest of the day sitting still, you're putting your muscle-building engine into park. The body responds best to a steady rhythm of movement and fuel. Without that, even the most powerful nutrition plan can fall flat. And it's not just about muscle. Breaking up long sitting periods improves circulation to your brain, supports better balance, and reduces stiffness in your joints. It keeps your whole system in a state of readiness, which means that when you do eat those carefully timed, nutrient-rich meals, your body actually uses them to get stronger. Now you know the power of whey for quick fuel, casein for overnight protection, salmon for anabolic sensitivity, red algae for mineral strength, and the simple rituals that make them work harder for you. You also know how something as harmless as sitting too long can undo days of progress. But here's the twist. There's one more factor that can make or break your results. It's not about food, supplements, or exercise. It's something happening inside your body's own chemistry. Something that changes with age and directly controls how much muscle you can build and how quickly you can lose it. Most seniors don't even know it's happening until it's already cost them years of strength. In my next video, I'm going to reveal exactly what that factor is, how to test it yourself at home, and the simple science-backed way to reset it, so your body starts building muscle again at any age. Once you understand this, everything you've learned today will work even faster. Doctors used to think it was impossible to regrow muscle in your 70s or 80s. Then came a strange twist, a humble root that's been used for centuries in traditional medicine, but was mostly ignored by modern science. Until now. New research shows this root doesn't just feed your muscles, it activates a little-known pathway that reverses age-related muscle breakdown. In one study, older adults who ate it daily saw measurable strength gains in just 21 days, with no exercise changes, no supplements, and no gimmicks. I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, and what I'm about to share isn't some viral trend or untested theory. It's a deeply researched, nutrient-dense food that flips the muscle growth switch back on in seniors without relying on heavy lifting or high-protein diets alone. If you've been losing strength, struggling to open jars, or feel your legs weakening on stairs, this root may be the missing key. So let's unpack how it works and how to use it to rebuild what aging tried to take away. The root we're talking about is ginger. Yes, the same knobby root you might have added to stir-fries or tea over the years. Turns out, it holds some powerful muscle-protecting secrets, especially for seniors. Most people know ginger as an anti-nausea remedy or inflammation fighter, but very few realize what it does deep inside aging muscle tissue. What sets ginger apart isn't just its anti-inflammatory effects. It's how it helps reverse the breakdown of muscle by acting directly on the same pathways that control muscle protein synthesis, the very process that rebuilds muscle fibers. In a 2021 study published in Nutrients, researchers found that gingerols, the active compounds in ginger, can reduce chronic low-grade inflammation that blocks muscle regeneration in older adults. That's critical, because after age 60, our muscles become inflamed more easily, even without injury. It's called inflammaging, and it silently blocks protein from doing its job. Here's where ginger shines. It doesn't just reduce inflammation, it also enhances insulin sensitivity. That means more amino acids from your meals actually reach your muscle cells instead of being wasted or stored as fat. This is especially important for seniors because even if you're eating enough protein, poor insulin sensitivity can prevent your muscles from using it effectively. But that's just the beginning. Ginger also activates something called PGC1-alpha. Think of it as your internal youth switch. This molecule increases the number of mitochondria inside your muscle cells. Mitochondria are your energy engines. The more you have, the stronger and more fatigue-resistant your muscles become. In older adults, this is a game changer because mitochondria decline rapidly with age. In fact, one randomized controlled trial found that just 2 grams of ginger daily significantly improved physical function in people over 60. Participants had better grip strength, reduced joint stiffness, and even walked faster after just 6 weeks. My patients who add ginger regularly, whether in teas, soups, smoothies, or even as a powdered spice in warm water, often report something surprising. They don't just feel stronger, they feel younger. They say their hands stop cramping, their legs feel more stable on stairs, and they bounce back faster from minor exertion. That's not magic. That's cellular-level repair at work. And remember, ginger pairs beautifully with other muscle-supporting nutrients. In fact, what you combine it with next can triple its muscle rebuilding power. Now let's talk about how to actually use ginger in a way that supports real muscle repair, not just flavor. Because as powerful as ginger is, it's how you prepare it, pair it, and time it that makes all the difference. The first thing to know is that fresh ginger root is more potent than dried powder. But both work. Fresh ginger contains higher concentrations of gingerol, which is the compound most responsible for reducing inflammation and activating mitochondrial repair. But when ginger is dried, that gingerol transforms into shogaol, which has its own powerful effects on nerve function and muscle recovery. That means using both forms in your day may actually give you the best of both worlds. For morning muscle activation, I recommend a warm ginger tea made from fresh slices steeped for 10 minutes in hot water. Add a squeeze of lemon, and you've got a blend that not only stimulates digestion, but also increases circulation and reduces morning stiffness. This is a perfect way to create what I call the absorption window, the 60-minute period when your muscles become more responsive to protein and nutrients. If you pair that tea with a protein-rich breakfast, like Greek yogurt or a Whey smoothie, you're setting yourself up for stronger muscles before the day even starts. Some of my patients blend fresh ginger into their smoothies instead. Just a half-inch knob, peeled and tossed in with berries and protein powder, is enough. It adds warmth to the drink and triggers better blood flow to your muscles, especially if consumed within 30 minutes of light movement, like stretching or walking. Now, for those who prefer the convenience of ground ginger, there's a trick. Heating it slightly in a small amount of coconut or olive oil before adding it to food can help unlock its full anti-inflammatory potential. A teaspoon of ginger, sautéed with turmeric and black pepper, becomes a muscle-repairing base you can stir into soups, scrambled eggs, or even lentils. The black pepper increases the absorption of both ginger and turmeric by up to 2,000%, something that matters more than ever after age 60. But here's where things get exciting. There's a compound in ginger called zingerone, and it only appears when ginger is gently heated. Zingerone has been shown to protect muscle fibers from oxidative stress after exercise. That means even simple movements like walking or gardening create less wear and tear when ginger is part of your meal. Timing is critical too. For best results, include ginger either before or within 2 hours of any physical activity. Why? Because ginger improves circulation and insulin sensitivity, two things your muscles rely on to absorb amino acids quickly. It acts like a traffic director, making sure the protein you eat goes straight to your muscle cells instead of being converted to fat. Another overlooked trick is combining ginger with honey. A small teaspoon of raw honey mixed with powdered ginger can be taken before bed or post-dinner. This combo not only calms inflammation, but also helps regulate overnight blood sugar, which is key for muscle preservation during sleep. Pair that with cottage cheese or a high-protein snack, and you've created a mini ritual for nighttime muscle repair. Some of my patients even keep ginger chews on hand during the day. Not the sugar-loaded candy versions, but clean ginger pieces with minimal ingredients. 1 or 2 after meals can stimulate digestion and reduce inflammation quietly, behind the scenes. What's most important is consistency. This isn't a one-time fix. Ginger is cumulative. Every dose builds on the last, reducing chronic inflammation that's been blocking your progress for years. Within 3 to 4 weeks of daily use, many seniors report steadier balance, quicker recovery, and most importantly, less fear around movement. Because when your muscles feel supported, you move with more confidence. You stop hesitating on stairs. You reach for things without bracing. You start trusting your body again. And remember, ginger is just one piece of the puzzle. What you pair it with next may be even more important. Here's something the wellness world rarely talks about. Ginger doesn't just help seniors, it works better in seniors than it does in younger adults. That's right. This humble root is uniquely suited for aging bodies. And it's not because older adults are weaker, it's because the biology of aging actually makes ginger's benefits more powerful. Let me explain. As we age, our bodies develop what scientists call inflammaging, a chronic low-grade inflammation that quietly builds up in muscle tissue, joints, and even nerve pathways. It doesn't cause sharp pain at first, but over time, it blocks nutrient absorption, delays recovery, and accelerates muscle loss. Younger bodies bounce back faster from this type of inflammation, but in older adults, it lingers. And this is exactly where ginger steps in. Studies from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences show that gingerol, shogaol, and zingerone, the active compounds in ginger, target the same inflammatory markers that rise with age: IL-6, TNF-alpha, and CRP. That's why when a 30-year-old takes ginger, they might feel mildly energized. But when a 70-year-old adds ginger consistently, it can lead to less morning stiffness, reduced swelling in the hands and knees, and improved circulation to muscles that have been starving for oxygen. Here's another key reason it's more effective in older adults: decreased enzyme activity. As we get older, our ability to produce digestive enzymes and anti-inflammatory compounds naturally declines. Ginger acts like a shortcut. It stimulates bile production, boosts circulation, and kickstarts digestion. In fact, a study published in Phytotherapy Research found that ginger improved nutrient absorption in adults over 65 by increasing gut motility and enzyme production, two things that tend to stall with age. Think of it like this. In younger bodies, the roads are clear. Nutrients move fast. But in seniors, it's like traffic at rush hour. Ginger opens the lanes back up. It clears inflammation, improves blood flow, and speeds up nutrient delivery where it matters most: your muscle cells. And it's not just about circulation or inflammation. Ginger also helps offset anabolic resistance, a silent but devastating effect of aging where your muscles no longer respond to protein the way they used to. You might be eating enough, but your muscles aren't listening. New research out of the University of Georgia found that ginger can enhance muscle protein signaling in older adults, helping muscles respond better to dietary protein, even at lower doses. It basically amplifies the message. Hey muscles, it's time to grow again. Younger adults don't need that signal boost. Their muscles are still primed to respond. But in seniors, ginger becomes the loudspeaker that gets your muscles' attention. And here's the real kicker. Your cells are more sensitive to ginger's effects because of how aging changes your gut lining. As we grow older, our intestinal walls become more permeable. That's often a problem, but with ginger, it means faster, more direct absorption of its medicinal compounds, especially when consumed with fats like olive oil, coconut milk, or full-fat yogurt. So if you're over 60, and you felt like food just doesn't give you energy anymore, if your joints feel stiff or your muscles recover slower than they used to, know this: your body isn't broken. It's just missing the fuel that matches its new needs. Ginger was built for this phase of life. It's nature's way of saying, you're not done yet. Not by a long shot. So how do you actually turn ginger into a reliable daily muscle-building ally? The answer lies in rhythm. Feeding your body small, strategic doses of ginger across the day in ways that align with your body's natural repair cycle. Not in a pill, not in a single big meal, but as part of your daily flow. Let's start in the morning, when muscle breakdown is at its peak. After a night of fasting, your body wakes up in a mild catabolic state, meaning it's breaking down tissue for fuel, including muscle. This is the most critical time to act. A warm cup of ginger tea, made from fresh ginger slices steeped in hot water, can help rehydrate your cells, jumpstart circulation, and lower cortisol levels that spike after sleep. Add a pinch of Salon cinnamon and a slice of lemon. Not only does this combo taste incredible, it helps reduce insulin resistance, which is key to getting amino acids into your muscles during your first meal. Right after that tea, within about 30 minutes, is the time for your protein-rich breakfast. This is when ginger has already activated blood flow and muscle cell receptors. My patients often blend a protein shake with frozen berries, hemp seeds, and a small piece of fresh ginger root. That ginger doesn't just flavor the smoothie, it acts like a catalyst. It amplifies the effects of leucine, the amino acid responsible for muscle growth, by improving delivery into muscle cells. Around mid-morning or early afternoon, when many seniors hit an energy dip, you can stack ginger into your snack. A spoonful of full-fat Greek yogurt mixed with honey, chopped walnuts, and just a quarter teaspoon of powdered ginger offers a trifecta of benefits: muscle recovery, anti-inflammatory support, and steady energy. The fat in the yogurt also helps absorb ginger's fat-soluble compounds, making this snack more than just a pick-me-up. It's a quiet repair session for your muscles. Now let's talk about lunch. This is the perfect time to incorporate gently cooked ginger. A bowl of lentil soup or sautéed vegetables seasoned with turmeric, black pepper, and ground ginger creates a synergistic effect that helps reduce muscle inflammation while delivering plant-based protein and fiber. In fact, studies show that ginger paired with curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, lowers inflammatory markers by over 30% in aging adults. That's not just prevention, that's reversal. Don't forget your pre-dinner window. If you move around in the afternoon, even a light walk or some gardening, this is when your muscles are craving nutrients. A warm bone broth infused with fresh grated ginger and garlic can enhance nutrient delivery and digestion right before your main meal. That broth does more than comfort you. It literally lubricates the digestive system and primes your muscles for what's coming next. Dinner is where you lock it all in. Add fresh or powdered ginger to roasted vegetables, stir-fries, or baked fish. A salmon fillet with a ginger soy glaze, or sweet potatoes roasted with garlic and ginger, turns your evening meal into a muscle repair ritual. This is where you give your body the fuel it needs to restore overnight. And finally, yes, ginger even has a place before bed. Here's the ritual I often recommend to my patients. A small cup of warm almond milk with a pinch of ground ginger, cinnamon, and a drop of raw honey. This not only supports better sleep, but it also calms nighttime inflammation and regulates blood sugar, which is crucial to preserving muscle mass while you sleep. Pair that bedtime drink with a few spoonfuls of cottage cheese if you're hungry. The casein protein digests slowly through the night, and with ginger's circulation-enhancing properties, you're feeding your muscles hour by hour as you rest. The beauty of this routine isn't just in the ingredients, it's in the timing. By aligning ginger with key metabolic windows, morning, post-activity, and before bed, you're working with your biology, not against it. And over time, that consistency compounds. What starts as better digestion turns into stronger muscles. What begins as less stiffness becomes easier movement. And what once felt like decline starts to feel like possibility. That's the power of rhythm. That's the power of one route, used the right way. How do you know it's working? That's the question I get most often from seniors starting this ginger-powered muscle support plan. The answer is simple. Your body starts whispering long before it shouts. And if you listen closely, there are clear signs that cellular repair is underway, even before you see visible changes in the mirror. One of the first signs? Your morning stiffness fades faster. That creaky, frozen feeling in your knees, back, or hands that usually takes an hour to shake off. It starts disappearing within 20 to 30 minutes of waking up. That's not just your imagination. It's a shift in the inflammatory response. Ginger reduces the cytokines that stiffen connective tissue overnight, and as a result, your joints and muscles start moving more freely first thing in the day. And then comes the energy, not the jittery kind, but the I want to move again kind, the I'm going to take the stairs today kind. That subtle rise in baseline energy is often the most telling sign. It means your cells are using nutrients more efficiently. Ginger enhances nutrient uptake and oxygen flow at the cellular level, which translates to more stable energy, especially in the late morning or early afternoon when most seniors hit their slump. Sleep improves too. Not just how long you sleep, but how deeply. Ginger calms the nervous system and reduces nighttime cortisol, which helps your body shift into restorative, muscle-repairing sleep. And that's crucial, because most muscle growth in seniors happens at night, not during the workout or the meal, but during sleep. The less inflammation you carry into bed, the more rebuilding your body can do while you rest. Even your appetite may subtly shift. Seniors who've been under-eating or skipping meals often find themselves feeling gently hungrier at appropriate times. That's not a bad thing. It's a sign your metabolism is reawakening. Ginger stokes digestion and helps your body signal for fuel when it's actually needed. Another clue that the engine is turning over again. All of these signals, faster recovery, less stiffness, stronger grip, deeper sleep, improved energy, are proof that your cells are listening, that they're responding, and most importantly, that your muscles are re-entering a state of growth. Here's where the layering matters. If you add a handful of frozen berries, you're not just sweetening the drink, you're protecting those amino acids during absorption. The antioxidants in berries, especially blueberries and blackberries, prevent oxidation of leucine, the key amino acid for muscle growth. Add a teaspoon of Salmon cinnamon, and you're improving insulin sensitivity by another 15 to 20%. That means less sugar stored as fat and more protein used for repair. This is more than a smoothie. It's a muscle-building formula. But you're not done yet. The next hour after this ritual is what I call the window of absorption. Everything you eat, everything you move, everything you think, it all affects how your body uses those nutrients. This is the time to stay upright, move gently, even walk around the house. Sitting or lying down shuts down blood flow to the very tissues you're trying to repair. Some of my patients find that even washing dishes or folding laundry after their morning shake makes them feel more energized. That's not coincidence. That's blood delivering amino acids to tissues that used to be starved, and the effect is cumulative. Each morning you follow this ritual, the response becomes stronger. Your muscles begin to expect the support. Your body gets back into rhythm. It's not just about ginger or protein or stretches in isolation. It's about stacking the right things in the right order so your body doesn't just maintain, it upgrades. Every single day. You won't notice it all at once. But the long-term payoff of daily cellular repair is the difference between simply aging and thriving into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. It starts quietly. Maybe you sleep more deeply. Maybe you get up without that dreaded groan in your lower back. But what's actually happening inside your body is much more profound. Every time you follow this morning ritual, every time you feed your muscles at the right time with the right nutrients, you're not just adding strength. You're reversing biological wear. You're telling your cells, rebuild, not retreat. Over weeks and months, this translates into something far more powerful than better digestion or less soreness. It becomes resilience. That's the true prize. The ability to handle more movement, more stairs, more tasks, without fatigue pulling you down. The science behind this is crystal clear. When seniors engage in consistent muscle protein synthesis, especially when supported by anti-inflammatory compounds like ginger, they slow down sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that leads to frailty. They improve insulin sensitivity, protect their mitochondria, and reduce the inflammatory markers tied to chronic disease. But here's what the studies don't always show: the emotional shift. Because when your body stops feeling fragile, your mindset changes too. You're not tiptoeing through the day, afraid of falling, slipping, or hurting something. You're more grounded. You trust your balance. You say yes more to walks, to social events, to life. That's the real impact of daily cellular repair. One of my patients, a 78-year-old former carpenter, once told me, "I used to wake up every morning and wonder what I couldn't do that day. Now I wake up thinking about what I can." And it wasn't from going to the gym. It was from eating differently, moving with purpose, drinking that tea, following that rhythm. That's the quiet genius of repair. It doesn't demand perfection. It rewards consistency. Even your immune system gets a boost, because the same pathways that rebuild muscle also support white blood cell production, detoxification, and wound healing. Your cuts heal faster. You get sick less often. You recover from minor injuries like you're a decade younger. And then there's the independence factor. Muscle isn't about vanity after 60. It's about being able to carry your groceries, stand up from the couch unassisted, walk up a flight of stairs without holding your breath. It's about being able to live alone, safely, confidently, proudly. Daily cellular repair gives you that. It gives you the kind of strength that's easy to overlook until you lose it. But with this ginger-powered morning protocol, you're not just preventing loss. You're building something back. You're making strength your baseline again. And here's the part that's hard to describe but impossible to ignore: the deeper calm. When inflammation drops, sleep improves, muscles get fed, and digestion runs smoothly. You just feel more settled in your body. Less tension, less mental fog, more clarity, more steadiness. That's the gift of consistency. Not a miracle cure, not a new supplement. Just giving your body what it's been waiting for, every day in simple, strategic ways. There comes a moment, not always dramatic, but unmistakable, when you realize your body isn't just recovering anymore. It's preparing, reinforcing, fortifying itself for what comes next. That's the turning point, the shift from repair to future-proofing. So how do you know when you've crossed that line? It's when your baseline gets stronger, not just your grip or your balance or how fast you walk, but your recovery speed, your stability during stressful days, your ability to miss a few perfect meals and still feel strong. That's not luck. That's cellular momentum. Your systems have stopped playing defense and started building reserves. Maybe you notice you don't crash in the afternoons anymore. Maybe you're taking fewer naps, but waking up more refreshed. Or maybe it hits you while climbing the stairs. You're not bracing anymore. You're not reaching for the railing. You're moving forward without fear. That's future-proofing. It's also visible in your labs. Lower CRP levels, better fasting glucose, improved kidney function, stronger vitamin D status. These aren't just numbers. They're reflections of a body operating with less internal friction and more efficiency. And it doesn't stop with the body. There's a mental clarity that begins to stick. The fog lifts. Names come faster. Words return when you need them. You're not losing your place in conversations. You're engaged, sharper, more present. Why? Because inflammation isn't just a muscle thief. It's a brain thief. And when ginger, protein, and movement lower that inflammation consistently, the benefits ripple across every system. Your muscles aren't just healing. They're protecting your future mobility, memory, independence, and even mood. That's the hidden superpower of future-proofing. It's quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand. But it shows up in the calm confidence that returns to your daily life. Here's the paradox most seniors don't expect. When you reach this stage, you can do less and still feel better. You've created a metabolic environment where your body handles stress more gracefully. Miss a day, you bounce back faster. Go off routine for a weekend, your strength doesn't collapse. That's the definition of resilience, and it's earned, not given. This is why I urge my patients to keep going once they start seeing signs of improvement. Because the first wave, less pain, better sleep, stronger legs, that's the reward for consistency. But the second wave, that's the foundation for the next decade of vitality. You don't just age slower, you start aging smarter. Your body works for you again, not against you. You become harder to injure, easier to recover, stronger under pressure. That's not wishful thinking. That's what happens when daily repair turns into long-term reinforcement. It's not about staying young. It's about becoming durable. Not chasing immortality, but building immunity to decline. That's the path ginger helps activate. Not because it's magic, but because it opens the door to everything else. Circulation, digestion, absorption, protein synthesis, energy, cognition. And when you walk through that door consistently, your body builds the kind of strength that lasts.
It starts with something so small, most seniors brush it off without a second thought. You reach for a grocery bag and suddenly, your arms feel weaker than they used to. You find yourself using the railing to climb just one flight of stairs, or maybe your balance is a little off, but hey, it's probably just age, right? What if I told you those tiny changes, those shrug-it-off moments, are actually early red flags of a condition that can shrink your muscles, steal your strength, and double your fall risk in less than a year? For decades, I've seen this same mistake repeat over and over. Seniors assume that feeling weaker is just getting older. But muscle loss past a certain point isn't natural aging. It's a condition called sarcopenia. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't scream for attention. It whispers, gently, quietly, until one day you struggle to get out of a chair or you fall in the kitchen and can't get up. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Frank. He was 72, proud of his independence, and still drove himself everywhere. His first visit was just a check-in. He mentioned a little arm weakness and occasional fatigue when walking up the stairs. Nothing serious, or so he thought. But when I asked him to rise from the exam table without using his hands, he hesitated. That single movement told me what labs couldn't. Frank had lost over 10% of his muscle mass in just 2 years, and he had no idea. No pain, no injuries. Just a slow, quiet fade. Sarcopenia doesn't start with walkers and wheelchairs. It starts with skipping the morning walk, with relying on your arms to push off the couch, with no longer feeling as strong in your core when you carry groceries or lift grandkids, These are the early signs, and they're often mistaken as harmless. As the truth is, sarcopenia begins around age 50, but for many, it accelerates sharply after 60, especially if you're not actively rebuilding strength. And here's the problem. If you lose strength faster than you build it, you start to lose balance, independence, and even bone density. That's when a small stumble turns into a fractured hip. That's when a two-step decline becomes a full-blown emergency. And yet, it's preventable. Most seniors don't realize their muscles are talking to them long before a fall happens. They talk through fatigue, through stiffness, through shrinking appetite and unexpected weight loss. Not just fat, but lean tissue. If your pants feel looser but your energy hasn't improved, that's not always a win. It could be muscle melting away. And here's something most doctors won't say out loud. Many blood tests don't pick up early sarcopenia. The real clues come from your daily life. Do you walk slower than you used to? Has your grip weakened? Do you find yourself sitting more often or needing help rising from low chairs? These aren't just quirks of aging. They are signals your body is sending, and you cannot afford to ignore them. You don't need to join a gym or lift heavy weights to reverse sarcopenia. You just need to activate your muscles intentionally, starting with the legs, because your legs are your lifeline. Once your leg strength goes, your risk of falls and hospitalizations skyrockets. And it's not just about movement. Protein matters. Vitamin D matters. Hydration, sleep, circulation. Your muscles need all of it to repair and grow. Think of your muscles as an organ, just like your heart. Would you ignore chest pain? Then why ignore weakness, when weakness could be warning you of a silent storm brewing beneath the surface? We've normalized frailty in old age, but I'm here to tell you it's not inevitable. It's reversible, and recognizing the early signs is your first step. So what can you do today to protect your strength and stay independent well into your 70s, 80s, even 90s? That's what we're diving into next. When Frank came back for his second visit, he wasn't just a patient. He was a man on a mission to rebuild what he thought was lost forever: his strength, his balance, his confidence. And the first thing I told him might surprise you. You don't need to lift weights, I said. You just need to stand up, on purpose. What does that mean? It means re-engaging the largest muscles in your body with intention. The thighs, the glutes, the calves. These aren't just movement muscles, they're metabolic powerhouses. Every time you sit down and stand up without using your hands, you send a message to your body. I still need this muscle. Keep it strong. You see, seniors don't lose muscle because they're old. They lose it because they stop using it. And when you stop using it, your body reallocates resources elsewhere. It assumes you don't need strength anymore, and strength, like memory, is a use it or lose it system. But the great news? It doesn't take a gym or a personal trainer. It just takes waking up your body's natural movement patterns. One of my favorite simple routines is the hallway march. Frank did it every morning while the coffee brewed. He marched in place down his hallway, lifting his knees a little higher than usual. That small motion did two things. It fired up his core, and it improved his balance by reconnecting his brain to his legs. And then there's the power of pushing. Not pushing weights, but pushing against resistance. Frank used his kitchen counter to do standing push-ups. At first, he managed 5. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I haven't done push-ups since the Navy." But 2 weeks later, he was doing 12 without breaking a sweat. Here's what happened inside his body. Dormant muscle fibers began waking up. Blood flow improved. His insulin sensitivity increased. And most importantly, his body remembered how to move with control. That's the magic of early muscle revival. It's not about building bulk. It's about regaining control, confidence, coordination. These are the things that prevent falls, delay assisted living, and keep seniors doing what they love. Now, movement alone won't work miracles if your body isn't getting the raw materials it needs to build. That's why I told Frank to add one small habit that changed everything: protein first. Before his morning walk, he'd have a small cup of Greek yogurt or a boiled egg. Nothing fancy, but that little dose of protein sent a signal to his body: rebuild, protect, grow. It's like adding bricks to a foundation that was slowly wearing thin. And here's the piece most seniors never hear. Protein needs actually increase as you age, not decrease. Your body becomes less efficient at using it, which means you need more to trigger the same repair process. That's why older adults who eat light or skip meals often see their strength fade faster. Frank didn't go on a diet. He went on a mission to protect the most precious thing he had left, his independence. And with just a few changes, he felt the difference. He wasn't tired halfway through the day. He didn't need help getting up from his recliner. He even danced with his granddaughter at her wedding without holding on to a chair. That's the power of early action. It doesn't just prevent decline, it reverses it. So if your body has been sending you quiet warnings, wobbly steps, weak grip, struggling with stairs, listen, it's not too late. Start with what you already have: a chair, a hallway, your breath, your will. Because the human body, especially the aging body, has one incredible superpower: the ability to rebuild when you give it the right message and the right fuel. Now you might be wondering, what should you actually eat each day to protect your muscles and stop sarcopenia from taking over? Well, you're about to find out, because the next thing we're diving into is food, not supplements, not powders, real food. And one of the best muscle-building foods for seniors is probably already in your fridge. Frank's transformation didn't come from a supplement bottle or a fancy protein shake. It came from food, real, everyday food that you can find at any grocery store. And what shocked him most? These weren't exotic superfoods or expensive powders. They were things he'd walked past for years. But the difference wasn't just what he ate. It was when and how consistently he ate them. Let's start with a food most seniors already enjoy, but rarely use for muscle: eggs. I've said it in clinic rooms more times than I can count. One egg a day can change the trajectory of your health. And I mean it. Eggs aren't just breakfast. They're pure, bioavailable protein wrapped in a powerhouse of nutrients. Inside that shell is leucine, a key amino acid your body needs to trigger muscle growth. And unlike protein powders, eggs come with vitamin D, choline, and healthy fats that support brain function too. Frank started eating 2 boiled eggs mid-morning instead of skipping breakfast. Within weeks, his energy stabilized. He wasn't crashing at 3 p.m. anymore. And more importantly, his strength tests in my office improved. The change was that fast. Why? Because seniors absorb and use the protein from eggs more efficiently than from most other sources. It's muscle fuel in its simplest, most absorbable form. Next up, something even more surprising: cottage cheese. Yes, the same creamy bowl many grew up with in the 60s and 70s is one of the most underrated muscle-saving foods in senior nutrition. Cottage cheese isn't just a snack. It's loaded with casein protein, which breaks down slowly and feeds your muscles over several hours. That's critical, especially at night when your body is doing its deepest repair work. Frank swapped his evening bowl of cereal for cottage cheese with cinnamon and berries. No crash, no late-night sugar spike. Just steady amino acids helping his muscles rebuild while he slept. And the calcium? That's an extra bonus for bone strength, a key player in fall prevention and mobility. But if there's one food I recommend to every senior who's serious about reversing muscle loss, it's this one: salmon. Wild-caught salmon is nature's perfect anti-sarcopenia meal. It delivers high-quality protein and omega-3 fatty acids in one delicious bite. And omega-3s don't just fight inflammation. They directly increase muscle protein synthesis, which is your body's ability to build new muscle cells. Frank grilled salmon every Sunday and used the leftovers in salads and sandwiches during the week. He didn't just notice better energy. He noticed fewer joint aches, better balance, and even improvements in memory. That's because what's good for muscle is also good for the brain. And when you combine anti-inflammatory fats with high-quality protein, you're not just eating to survive, you're eating to thrive. And before you ask, no, you don't need to eat salmon daily. Once or twice a week is enough to make a real difference. Add some lemon juice, olive oil, and herbs, and you've got a muscle-rebuilding meal that tastes amazing and works overtime to protect your body. Frank's plate changed, and so did his life. From wobbly steps to steady ones, from naps on the couch to walks around the block. And it all started with 3 humble foods: eggs, cottage cheese, and salmon. These aren't trendy. They're timeless. And they're sitting in your local grocery store right now waiting to help you rebuild what time tried to take. Now that you know what to eat, the next step is knowing what to avoid. Because certain foods, ones you may consider healthy, can quietly block muscle growth and accelerate the very decline you're trying to prevent. And one of the worst offenders is something many seniors drink every single day. Let's talk about that next. Frank was making progress. His legs were stronger, his steps more confident, his pantry full of muscle-rebuilding foods. But then came the slump. One week he told me he felt drained by noon. His strength plateaued. He hadn't changed his meals. His walks were the same. So I asked one question: "What are you drinking?" He blinked. "Same as always, Doc. Coffee in the morning, a little soda at lunch, maybe a glass of iced tea in the afternoon." And there it was. Frank's little soda at lunch sounded innocent. But here's the truth. Just 1 can of soda floods the bloodstream with nearly 40 grams of sugar. That's over 9 teaspoons. When that sugar rushes in, your body scrambles to pump out insulin. And insulin's job isn't just to lower blood sugar. It shifts your body into fat storage mode and puts muscle repair on pause. That means all the protein you're eating, all the exercise you're doing, it's being overridden by a single glass of liquid sugar. It doesn't just block muscle growth. It fuels inflammation, weakens blood vessels, and silently raises your risk of metabolic diseases like diabetes, which accelerates sarcopenia even faster. Frank's labs confirmed it. His fasting insulin had crept up, his blood sugar was on the rise, and his inflammatory markers were climbing, all from a drink he thought was harmless. Then we turned to the afternoon iced tea. And no, I don't mean unsweetened herbal tea. I'm talking about bottled sweet tea, the kind you grab from the fridge thinking it's better than soda. It's not. Most bottled teas are loaded with just as much sugar as soda, sometimes more. And even diet versions come with artificial sweeteners that disrupt gut bacteria, confuse insulin pathways, and increase cravings for carbs. That roller coaster doesn't just impact your waistline, it impacts your strength. It keeps your body in a state of inflammation that blocks the muscle repairing effects of protein and exercise. Now let's talk about the real elephant in the room: caffeine. Caffeine itself isn't evil. In fact, in small amounts, especially with food, it can improve focus and even enhance workouts. But for seniors, especially those over 65, too much caffeine is a hidden saboteur of muscle health. Frank was drinking 2 large mugs of coffee by 9 a.m. He thought it helped him get going. But what it was really doing was overstimulating his nervous system, increasing cortisol, the stress hormone, and disrupting his sleep at night. And here's the kicker: muscle repair doesn't happen during the day. It happens during deep sleep. If your sleep is shallow, fragmented, or shortened by late-day caffeine, your body never enters the stage where it releases human growth hormone, your natural muscle rebuilder. That means your muscle doesn't grow. It breaks down. Frank didn't believe it at first. He wasn't staying up all night. But we ran a sleep study and the results were clear. He was tossing and turning more than he realized, never hitting those deep restorative cycles. His body was running on adrenaline, and his muscles were stuck in neutral. So we made a few swaps. Out went the soda. In came sparkling water with a slice of lime. Out went the sweet tea. In came cold herbal infusions. Frank even started sipping warm ginger water in the evenings to wind down. His caffeine cut to 1 cup early with breakfast, and never past 10 a.m. Within 2 weeks, the fog lifted. His afternoon energy returned. His sleep deepened. And most importantly, his strength gains resumed. That's the power of what you drink. It can either rebuild you or quietly break you down. And the older you get, the more sensitive your body becomes to these liquid triggers. So if you've been doing all the right things, exercising, eating better, but not seeing results, take a hard look at your cup. Because the real problem may not be on your plate. It might be in your glass. Now, if drinks can quietly steal your muscle strength, wait until you hear about the one daily habit that almost every senior does, without realizing it's signaling the body to lose muscle faster. It's not food. It's not lack of exercise. It's even sneakier. And it all happens the moment you sit down. Frank was shocked when I told him that one of the most dangerous things he was doing each day wasn't eating sugar, or skipping his walk, or even having a soda. It was sitting, just sitting. And here's the part that caught him off guard. It wasn't how much he was sitting. It was how long he was sitting without interruption. You see, the human body, especially after age 60, isn't built for long stretches of stillness. And while rest is necessary, the kind of sitting most seniors do is different. It's passive, prolonged, unbroken, hours in a recliner, an entire afternoon at the table, even evenings parked in front of the TV, and every one of those hours is telling your muscles you're not needed. The longer you sit, the faster your body begins down-regulating muscle activity. And I don't just mean your legs. I'm talking about your metabolism, your circulation. Even your brain's connection to your body starts to dim. Here's what the research shows. After just 60 minutes of sitting still, key enzymes that support fat metabolism drop by as much as 90%. Blood flow slows, muscle activity in your glutes and thighs drops to near zero, and your body begins releasing signals that actually increase muscle breakdown. That's right. Sitting too long without moving tells your body to start breaking down muscle for fuel, even if you've eaten well that day. Frank didn't believe it at first. "But Doc, I go for a walk every morning," he said. And he did. But the walk wasn't the problem. It was the 4 hours of stillness that followed. And that's when I showed him a trick that changed everything. Something I now call the 60-second reset. Every hour, On the hour, Frank stands up. Just for 60 seconds. He marches in place, or he stretches tall, or he leans against the kitchen counter and does slow, gentle calf raises. Nothing extreme, nothing painful, just movement. What that 60 seconds does is remarkable. It wakes up your muscles, reactivates your circulation, sends oxygen rushing back to your legs and brain. And, this is key, it turns off the signal that says, break muscle down. 1 minute. That's all it takes. The best part? You don't need fancy equipment, no yoga mat, no gym membership. Frank sets a timer on his phone. Some of my patients use commercials during TV shows. Others keep a water bottle across the room to force themselves to stand and refill it. It doesn't matter how you trigger the habit. What matters is that you move. Now you might be thinking, is 1 minute really enough? Yes, especially for seniors, because the goal isn't to work out. It's to interrupt the muscle wasting signal. Every time you stand, stretch, or move your legs, you fire off what's called mechanical loading. That's the cue your body needs to maintain and even build muscle over time. And the effect isn't just physical. Seniors who do hourly movement breaks show sharper thinking, improved mood, and better sleep. Why? Because light movement improves circulation to the brain, stabilizes blood sugar, and keeps stress hormones like cortisol in check. Frank's results were almost immediate. Within a week of doing his 60-second resets, he had less stiffness in the morning. Within a month, he said he no longer felt foggy after lunch. And by his next visit, he told me something that made me smile. Doc, I don't need my afternoon nap anymore. Not because he was pushing himself harder, but because he was finally working with his body, not against it. Here's what I want you to take from this. Sitting isn't evil, but unbroken stillness is a silent enemy of senior strength. It weakens your muscles without warning. It drains your energy without symptoms. And it speeds up a decline you might not even notice, until one day you fall and don't know why. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your body isn't asking for marathons. It's asking for momentum. Just enough to remind it that you're still here, still active, still building, not breaking. So wherever you are right now, if you're sitting, stand up. Stretch your arms to the sky. March in place. Wiggle your toes. Feel your body wake up. That's not a workout. That's a lifeline. If you've noticed the stairs getting harder, your grip a little weaker, or your energy not bouncing back the way it used to, don't ignore it. That's your body whispering before it starts shouting. Sarcopenia doesn't knock on the door. It walks in quietly, day by day, meal by meal, moment by moment, until one day you can't stand up as easily as you used to. But here's the truth. Muscle loss isn't a guarantee of aging. It's a warning, and you can answer it. Because once you see the signs, you can stop them. Once you feed your body right, it rebuilds. And once you move with purpose, even for 60 seconds at a time, everything begins to change. But here's the twist no one tells you. Reversing sarcopenia isn't just about muscles. It's about protecting your brain, your bones, your balance, your entire future. So if your body has been trying to tell you something, the real question is, are you ready to listen? Because in the next video, we're uncovering the 7 foods silently destroying your bones and how fixing them could save your mobility for the next decade. You're not too old, and it's not too late. Everything can change, starting today.